Hi, and welcome to SIRENNET Television. I'm Stuart. If you didn't already know, it's a Monday, and it's time to go across to Chris while he takes something apart. And this morning's take apart, because we actually shoot it in the morning here in the Pacific Northwest, happens to be a Whelen product. It's part of the Whelen SlimLine series within the Pioneer family, and it is the model PSL1BB. We're going to go ahead right now and take a look at it. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Stuart. I have here Whelen's Pioneer SlimLine single head, or the PSL1BB. It's available in a black cast powder coat housing, also in white for those folks that want to dress up that way. I'm going to give you an inside look, what's behind the lens here, the board that makes the unit work, and also the inside optic portion that covers the internal diodes. The SlimLine itself has an adjustable bracket, as you can see here, which offers great versatility for mounting. So you can flat mount it, have the light mounted and cast downward, or the bracket can also be inverted so the light can be hung from a headache rack or under a rear bumper on a rescue, fire apparatus, or your work truck. The front housing here, which contains the interchangeable polycarbonate lens, is affixed on with a total of 4 screws. I'll go ahead and remove those quickly here. So with the 4 bolts removed, the front cast face freely lifts off. As you can see, it's a one-piece solid cast unit. Inside here, we have the polycarbonate lens that's a spot pattern. So with this, you'll have a beam that's more focused and will give you further distance. The flood beam will give you a shorter beam distance, but a wider spread of light. So give you more of a perimeter or a scene lighting effect versus a spot distance beam. Give you a bit of an inside look here with the lenses removed. You can see you have an inner optic portion. I'm going to go ahead and remove 4 screws that affix that to the inner cast housing and diode board assembly. You can see here that you have a one-piece, deep-dished reflector type lens. The unit itself is almost like an inverted cone, so the diode itself, which is shrunken down in the bottom here, is spread through the cone, and the beam of the diode then is expanded to give it more fill for the lens itself. Basically, it's a fancy way to get your diodes to give you more light, more intensity, and a better beam spread. Inside the unit here, you can see you have your main operating board. You have a total of 12 diodes, 2 rows, 6 in each. The unit itself is completely epoxy sealed, so the circuitry, the diodes, and how they're set in. Now the diodes themselves aren't epoxy covered, but all the electronics associated with them on the back of the board are. The board assembly itself is powered by 2 wires, a lead and a ground, which are fixed and also sealed into the board here. They run through the cast housing via a grommet that is also completely epoxy sealed, both externally on the back of the cast housing and internally through the cast housing as well. It's also very, very tightly cinched from the folks at the factory to keep the harness nice and firmly placed in the cast housing. So if the harness were to ever pull, you're not going to be pulling any of your wires from the inside of your board, causing your light to fail. So go ahead, put the inside optic lens back on. Make sure to get my 4 screws lined up. See, the inner optics are now reaffixed to the inside board and inside of the cast housing. So again, now we'll go ahead, take a lens, place it on the inside of the unit here. Also, what's important to know is on your flood lens, you have a smooth side and you have a roughed side. The roughed side of the lens is what you're going to want to have facing the inside of your SlimLine Pioneer. Just has to do with the optics and the way the light projects out. Go ahead, take the cast face, reposition it onto the front of the unit, and reinsert the 4 screws that hold it together. Because the face is pressure sealed on with the screws, I'm going to go ahead and tighten them down, similar to how you would lug nuts on a car. So basically a cross pattern so that the face is going to torque down equally across the front. And that'll also help give you a nice tight seal on the inside of the unit to help keep grime and condensation out. Face is reassembled now. And speaking of condensation or grime, on the bottom of the SlimLine, you have 2 yellow dots here. Those are called a Gore-Tex breather. The units themselves cover 2 holes in the base of the cast housing. And what they do is they act as an internal drain hole. So should condensation get inside the unit from climate changes, hot to cold, cold to hot, or a nice rainy day, or if you have a nice chance to go outside, wash the rig, shine it up, should you get some water inside, fire up the light, it'll heat up, and the condensation that is inside will go ahead and dissipate out through the bottom Gore-Tex breathers. So go ahead, put it to some power, and show you how bright this little SlimLine is. Again, it's a 2-wire, so we have a black and a red. Red will put to a positive 12 volts, the black to a ground, I'll go ahead, fire it up here. As you can see, blinding the camera instantly out, it's a nice bright, consistent beam pattern. Also, what you notice is it's an instantaneous on. So unlike a halogen or a xenon, where it takes a few seconds to power up to its full beam intensity, LEDs are instantaneous, so no beam warm up. Also, you have a better color hue, better for rain, snow, fog, or just lighting up the ground itself. Gives you a more true color. What's nice to know with LEDs as well is they don't produce any UV, which attracts those pesky moths and mosquitoes during fun nighttime activities. So there you have it. Bit of an inside look at Whelen's PSL1BB, or the Pioneer SlimLine single head. Back to you, Stuart.
Well, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it. And again, many thanks for watching SIRENNET Television.